Sacrificial actions are termed as yajna. Wherever sacrificial actions happen, there is the right environment, there is the right mental climate, right mental environment for a production. Production in the sense of that which is going to be beneficial to the community at large happens only when sacrificial happen, only when sacrifice happens. And all sacrificial actions are termed as yajna. The Sattvic people, he said, keep performing such sacrificial actions, and it is always true that the few perform sacrifice, the rest enjoy the benefits of that sacrifice. Again I repeat, it's always, even in generally if you look at life, it is 2% of the humanity that really does something very productive, something very dynamic. The rest of the 98% reaps the benefit of the 2%. It's always like that. The 2% does actions with the attitude of sacrifice, which he calls as yajna. And such yajna gives rise to a product. And that product is that which is beneficial to everyone. Yajna gives rise to a product, and that product that comes out of yajna is beneficial to everyone. This is the theme. Therefore he says, keep doing yajna, keep performing it. Sattvic people keep doing that. Therefore, they keep evolving. The Rajasic people, they don't perform. They are not performing yajna. They are performing actions for their own benefits. Their own benefits can be gross. Their own benefits can be subtle. When I say gross means they may want something material directly. Subtle means something which satisfies their ego. Either way, actions are done for a selfish purposes. Tamasic people, they don't do any action but enjoy the benefits of others' action. 3 categories. The Tamasic people enjoy the benefit of others' actions. The Rajasic people, they do action, but the action is action is always self-centered. Self-centered in the sense of something that a fruit, a result that satisfies them directly, that benefits them directly. The third is sattva, the highest category. And this highest category, what they do yajna, and the rest enjoy the benefits of that yajna. Not only the rest are enjoying, what happens to the doer, what happens to those who are performing sattvic yajna? Because they live on the remnants of sacrifice, yajna sishtasantaha. Because they live on the remnants of sacrifice, not only they grow, they create a conducive environment, an inspiring environment for others also to grow. How much ever you hear about sacrifice, if you see a person doing sacrifice, that's more convincing than you see a person doing sacrifice and living that life of service and sacrifice, that is much more convincing than you can hear a million lecture on service. You can hear a million lectures on sacrifice. Vis-a-vis, a person may not even talk, but lives a life of service and sacrifice. Not only he is benefiting the others. Conversely, those who talk about sacrifice but don't perform sacrifice. Again, there's a category he talks about. These people, they talk about sacrifice but not perform sacrifice. They are agitated. They cook food but eat sin. Sattvic people enjoying the remnants of sacrifice, they are happy. Not only they are happy, they create an atmosphere around them. They create an environment around them which benefits the others. What is the benefit that you can do to anyone? The real benefit, the only benefit that you can do to yourself and you can do to anyone around you is to inspire them to live this life. If you are able to inspire someone to live this life of yajna, it means you are living a very sattvic life. Opposite of that is trying to explain about yajna. All that we are doing here is, imagine a person who is living that life. He need not sit and give 3 weeks of lectures on yajna karma. Just he just walks in and sits here. That itself lifts the whole thing up. You follow? Now, what is that the help that one can do to the other to inspire the other? And the most difficult thing in life is to inspire another. You can entertain others, but inspiration comes only from a few. Again, I repeat, entertainment can be done by anybody. Entertainment, 7:30 to 8:45 is a very good entertainment. Nothing more than that. Entertainment can be done by anyone. But inspiration comes only from a few. The distinction is because that person lives the life of yajna karma. What is yajna karma? Sacrificial actions. Sacrificial actions means all the time thinking about the other's welfare. That is sacrificial action. Very difficult is to inspire. And in order to help another, you need to be able to inspire. Even relatively speaking, understand it like this. Right from the school to the university, everyone would have had at least 150 teachers, would have seen 150 school, university teachers. Of all the 150, you will remember only 1 or 2 names. Rest of the other 150, you will not even the names you will not remember, except that 1 or 2. And why that 1 or 2? That 1 or 2 is because they are able to inspire. Something they touched in you, as a result of which you are still reaping the benefit of it. That's why you are remembering. If you are not reaping the benefit, why will you remember? Others also taught, but this man touched something in you for which you are reaping the benefit even today. That's what he terms as yajna activities are sacrificial actions. Having said all these in the concept with the concept, too much of concepts, so he goes into a metaphor. He goes into something from the very ordinary life example he takes in verses 14 and 15 and talks about the same. As I said in the beginning, don't worry. Till we conclude the 6th chapter, you will be listening to the word yajna only. Yajna is not going to compromise. Only now, after giving all sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, and all the examples and the explanations, now he gives a metaphor. What is known as the agriculture metaphor, in order to convey the same concept of yajna. Verses 14 and 15. And verses 14 and 15 are read together. Gurvati Pachirma.
Annad bhavanti bhutani vajjanyadanna sambhavaha yajnat bhavati vajjanyaha yajna karma samudbhavaha karma brahmodbhavam vidhi brahmakshara samudbhavam tasma sarvagatam brahma nityam yajne pratishtitam.
From food come forth beings. From rain, food is produced. From yajna arises rain, and yajna is born of action. That action arises from Brahma, and Brahma arises from the imperishable. Therefore, the all-pervading Brahman ever rests in yajna. Agricultural metaphor. To an agricultural society, agricultural metaphor works. To an industrial society, we have to give. We are not an agricultural society, for we have lost touch with that. Like when I say we have lost touch with that, means you ask the children today, the children believes that rice are grown in factories. Most of them don't know that rice are grown in fields. Not that they should know. Okay, we know rice was grown in fields. What happened to us? Nothing has happened. Therefore, it doesn't really mean you need to know that. In those days, in agricultural society, the agricultural metaphor was very relevant. In the modern day context, to talk about agricultural metaphor, very difficult is to connect with this metaphor. But you can connect with the same thing, even with an industrial example, you can connect to the same thing. From food come forth beings. First thing. Individuals survive. Individuals exist because sustenance is available. From food comes beings. We are existing because that which is needed for our existence is available, which is what he calls as food. And where does that food come from? Food keeps you alive. Now, where does that food come from? The food comes from rain. From rain, food is produced. Very clear. From rain, food is produced, and that food keeps you alive. So he is working backwards. You are alive because there is food. Food is there because there is rain. And what brings rain? Don't say weather conditions. Krishna is having, he's giving a different weather report. He says, from yajna comes rain. And what brings about yajna? Action brings about Yajna. And where does action come from? Action comes from Brahma, the creator. And where does creator come from? The imperishable. Therefore, even though from outside it looks like it is the product, the food that keeps you alive and going, in truth, in effect, what is it that is keeping you alive? It is the imperishable. It is the imperishable. He is tracing it. Work backwards. It's very, very simple. Beings are alive. We are all alive. We are all sustained because of produces that which keeps us alive is there. If that is not there, we will not be alive. Food can be taken literally as food, and food can be taken as that which feeds the equipments. Both are food. Literally it can mean food. Also it can mean all that keeps the instruments alive. What are the instruments? The senses. There are something that keeps the senses alive. The food. There are some things that keeps the emotion alive. The mind. There are certain things that keeps the intellect alive. The knowledge. Therefore all these are food. Now take away these equipments cannot live, cannot function. Therefore, from food come forth beings. Beings are surviving because that which you need for survival is available. If it is not there, na? It is available because you are alive because it is available. Now the availability part. Now where does that come from? From where does the food come from? Food comes from the rain. From yajna arises rain. Even today there is a belief, no? If you do yajna, rains will come, and some of the places literally at least there will be a mild drizzle also at least, and people go back so convinced that it is yajna that produced rain, and it is true also. Yajna produces rain. And what is yajna? Yajna is born of action. Yajna is born of action means you don't talk about doing sacrifice, you actually do it. That's what he says. It's born of yajna, is born of action. And actions come from whom? Actions arises from Brahma, the creator. Brahma, the creator. In any field of activity, there is a creator. In any field of activity, there is a creator. Even in an organization, there is a creator. And that creator is what we call as creator Brahma of Microsoft. He's saying. That's all he's saying. Brahma of Apple. He's dead and gone, no? Nevertheless, that's all he's saying. He creates, and the creator creates an environment for action, and that action produces something which is beneficial to others. What is rain here? Up to this much it is understandable. What is the concept of rain here? Rain is the right mental climate. Rain is the right mental climate. When I say the right mental climate, understand it like that, it becomes very easy. Look at any great organization that has come about. What was the attitude of the original founder? What was the attitude of the original founder? You'll always find something very noble in it. You'll always find something sacrificial in it. Any organization for that matter, anywhere in the world, you'll always find there is something sacrificial in it. The third, the fourth, the fifth generation won't have that vision. I'm not talking about that. The founder, the Brahma, the creator, creates the right mental environment. From where does the right mental environment come? For the attitude of Brahma, the attitude of the founder is always one of they may not use the word sacrifice. They say it is beneficial to what I am going to do must be beneficial to others, everyone. That's what he calls as rain, the right mental attitude. When the first Tata started flying, he started Air India, no? And he started Air India just for why he started Air India? After independence, government took over. Air India doesn't belong to the government. Air India originally belonged to J.R.D. Tata. And he started Air India for what? Just to tell others that India also can have a flight. Says this country someone here can also afford to have it's the pride of the country, not the pride of himself or not the pride of profit. Something higher. You look at any organization which has survived, which has come out with something extraordinary. The original founder, that's what he calls as Brahma. The intention was always beneficial to others. That intention to benefit others in them was so much that they reaped bounty. The profit, they reaped bounty. Others look at them and they try to imitate the same, copy the same. That doesn't work out. For it is not the field of activity that gave them the bounty. It is the right attitude of wanting to benefit the others. Nityam yajñe pratishtitam. Therefore, it is established only in yajña. You follow what I am saying? Again I repeat. They start with a genuine attitude of doing something to others. Once they achieve success, millions will try to copy, no? Share market, one man makes money, 99% loses. Who's that one man who's making money even today in share market? Everyone follows. Wherever he goes and buys, the whole lot will buy. And everyone goes bankrupt, and that man alone, who's that man? Correct. I follow him. Where all he buys. இதுக்கு அப்புறமா அங்க போய் இன்வெஸ்டர்ஸ் அசோசியேஷன்ல வேற போய் பேசணுமா? அதுல என்ன? One man does it, immediately the whole lot follows, and he alone reaps the correct. நீங்க தான் பிரசிடென்ட் அதுக்கு. இவரு சங்கர் தான் பிரசிடென்ட் வேற. Imagine Shankar being a president of an organization, and how it will survive. பாத்துங்க, பாவம் செபியை போண்டி எடுக்கிறான். And he's inviting me also. One man does it. What is that man's attitude? Vis-a-vis the other's attitude. You follow? நீங்களே பேசுறீங்களா சாம? சரியா? What is that man's attitude vis-a-vis the other's attitude? Distinctly you can see year after year, that man making money. Maybe it looks like the whole world is determined to make him rich only. As though everyone is investing their money only to make that man rich. They talk about this Apple man. They asked him, why you make your phone so difficult? Apple phones are slightly difficult because you can't do certain things that you want to do in these kind of useless phones. Venkat, iPhone tha. So it said iPhones. That man said, see, all those who are buying my phones don't know anything about, they do not know anything about technology. It's my duty to protect them. Therefore, I do everything. I'm not talking about the politics of the decision. The attitude of him is saying, he buys my phone trusting me. I have to protect. Even today people think, why these high-priced iPhones, even though they are so highly priced, why people buy it? People don't understand the connection. How they are unconsciously attracted, drawn. I am saying that is rain produce the agricultural metaphor. We have moved away from that agricultural pattern of living. So anything of this way we will be able to understand better. Any person for that matter, if you look at it, the origin, the starting point, they were able to attract. Why were they able to attract? Relatively, at least they had the genuine attitude of helping the other. That man is saying, I want to protect the fellow who uses my phone. For 99% don't know technology. How can they decide? Therefore, I decide. Even though they are high-priced people still, at least I sit and study all these things. Why is it that though high-priced people go for it? What is it that is unconsciously drawing them to it? The fellow says, I'm going to release the phone now. Middle of the night, fellows are standing in the stores to buy it. Other than the technology, other than the product, which is what the whole world looks at, Vedanta sees something deeper. There has to be something deeper because everyone has more or less the same thing. What is the difference? The difference is the right mental climate. What is the right mental climate? The right mental climate is, even relatively speaking, benefiting others. When others are benefited, incidentally you also get maximum benefited. Because you are the creator, no? You are the Brahma, no? When others are benefited, who will derive maximum benefit? Brahma derives maximum benefit. That is why in the Yajna ritual, there is a portion for Brahma and he is given the... First of all, people don't even know when they do Yajna, there is a Brahma there. There is a Brahma there and that Brahma is given the exalted state, the highest state. 5 people come to do Yajna ritual. 1 man is paid the highest. And you think, you know why he is paid the highest? For you tell him that you are the... People don't know. You don't know what you are saying. You say that you are the Brahma, you are the creator, and that man who is the Brahma for that yajna will be paid? Brahaspati Sambhavana, correct. He is the highest. He is always paid the highest. The gold will go to him, silver will go to him, Arsi will go to someone else. Why? Brahma, the creator, with the right attitude he creates, he reaps the bounty. Not only he reaps the bounty, others also get benefited. One, he said it as a concept. Now he is saying it as a metaphor. The products of yajna is the food that sustains the living beings. For the living being to sustain, the product must be of a high quality. What brings in high quality? The right attitude brings in the quality. For beings to sustain, you need the products, and the product must be of the high quality. And where does high quality come from? Not the ingredients. It's not all that. It comes from the right attitude, and that right attitude, the right attitude is what he calls as yajna, sacrifice. Up to Brahma is all right. And then he takes a jump to say, no. Even the creator, don't arrogate it. Because the creator can arrogate it to himself and say, I am the creator. Down the line, all are reaping the benefit because of me, because of my efforts. All of you are all enjoying. Because of why? Because I sacrificed. Therefore, you are all enjoying. No. Even Brahma derives these things from the Brahman, the imperishable. Therefore, all pervading Brahman ever rests in yajna, sacrifice. The sequence is very clear, minus imperishable varada varaikum sequence is very clear. Up to the creator part, the creator creating with the right attitude gives benefit to everyone else is up to this point is very clear. Where it gets slightly twisted, where he gives the twist is when he connects it to Brahman, imperishable. And what is the imperishable? Brahman. How Brahman is connected with yajna? The right attitude is always of the divine. The right attitude, the highest, is always of the divine. It is not of the ego. Therefore, he says, wherever there is a right attitude, it is divine, and divine means it is the imperishable. For the nature of the ego is to be selfish and self-centered. That's the nature of the ego. So wherever sacrifice happens, that sacrifice, the right attitude is always of the divine. Therefore, the ego cannot arrogate that right attitude to itself. Therefore, nityam yajne pratishtitam. It is the last sentence is slightly, if the last sentence is not said, we all will be very happy. We all can go back with such a pride thinking that, correct. Yes, I have done. I am the Brahma and I am the and I am the creator. I have done actions with the right attitude. Because of that, not only me, how others are deriving the benefit. So satisfying it is. And then he comes and says, looks like he's determined to not to make us happy. So he gave that indication as though we will be very happy. And then last sentence, therefore, tasmat. Therefore, the conclusion. The all-pervading Brahman ever rests in yajna. What is yajna? Sacrificial attitude. Sacrificial actions backed by the sacrificial attitude. And sacrificial attitude is always of the divine. It's not of the ego. Therefore, the ego cannot claim any arrogation over it. The ego cannot claim any merit for that. He says, all that is good is because of imperishable. One sentence. All that is good that is happening in the world is because of the imperishable. Because of this formula. What is the formula? Sacrifice is of the divine. It's not of the... In fact, it is the absence of ego, negating the ego, eliminating the ego sacrifice. No. If eliminating the ego, absence of ego is what sacrifice means, how can the ego feel? How can the ego feel proud about it? How can the ego take any credit for it? Able to follow? If sacrifice means eliminating the ego, sacrifice means eradication of the ego, then who can claim credit for sacrifice? From where does sacrifice comes from? Therefore, nityam yajne pratishtitam. Therefore, the all-pervading Brahman is resting in yajna. Meaning, all that he is saying is, anything good that happens in life, it's from God. Anything that bad happens, it is from you. That's all he is saying. Anything good is from the divine. Rest are all? Yours என்ன சொல்லாதீங்க. Yours என்ன சொன்னா அப்புறம் what will I do? Rest are all? Okay sir, correct. Rest are all yours நான் தான் சொல்லணும். ஏன்னா நான் தானே இங்க உட்கார்ந்துருக்கேன். How can you say that? Yours you are telling me no. சரியா? Rest are all? Beautifully, Vivekananda gives a lecture. One of the beautiful lectures. 3-4 lectures of him is wonderful. And all these 3-4 lectures happened here. 3-4 beautiful lectures of Vivekananda happened here. Next to Central Station. Next to Central Station, there is one dilapidated building you can see. It's called the Victoria Memorial Hall. And Vivekananda spoke. You know that, no? At least that much you know about Chennai history. Central Station, you know. Between Chennai Central Station and Ripon Building, there is one old, dilapidated, unmaintained building. Looks like it will crumble anytime. That's called Victoria Memorial Hall. In that Victoria Memorial Hall, Vivekananda unfolded he spoke about his vision about Ramakrishna Mission, the seed of Ramakrishna Mission, all was sown there. It's there in the books, you can read those beautiful lectures. One of the lectures he talks about titled is My Master. He talks about his master. In fact, the world came to know about Ramakrishna only because of Vivekananda. And he talks about my master. He is by nature he is a very emotional person, and whenever he talks about his master, he turns more emotional. I'm not getting emotional. A throat problem. This is. He gets more emotional. Yeah, at least that much identification with the master is needed to turn emotional. He turns emotional. Beautiful statement he makes. He says, anything good that comes out of this mouth, know that it belongs to Ramakrishna, he says. If one good word comes out of this mouth, which is beneficial to others, know that that word belongs to my master, Ramakrishna. Rest of the words belongs to me, he says. All that is useless that comes out of this mouth belongs to me. All that is beneficial comes out of, all that is beneficial belongs to him. I read that, I thought, what a wonderful way to explain the greatness of the master, and not arrogate at all. That's what he's saying. Nityam yagye pradishtitam. Wherever there is goodness, bounty happens, everyone is blessed, happy, joyful. It is because of divine. Therefore, tasmat sarvagatam. Sarvagatam means all pervading. Nityam means eternal. The all pervading, eternal, imperishable Brahman rests in Yajna. Is it okay till now? Is it okay till now? If you want that Brahman, what you should do? Where you can locate him? Yajna. Therefore, do Yajna. That's the conclusion. Since Brahman is located there, since the imperishable is located there, that's what his address is. If you want him, what you should do? Where you should locate him? Sacrifice. Sacrifice, not when others do sacrifice. When you sacrifice. Nityam yajne pradishtitam. First he establishes the wellness of people. And then he establishes it is all because of yajna, the right attitude. And the right attitude belongs to the divine. And if you want that divine, again, if you want it, if you say, I don't want it, don't worry. Agitation's address of agitation is in selfishness and self-centeredness. Address of Brahman is in yajna. Therefore, whatsoever you leave, Arjuna, don't leave yajna, he says. The 18th chapter, he says, whatever you stop doing, but don't stop yajna. Don't stop doing yajna. Because if you stop doing yajna, you are moving into the wrong address. You are moving into the wrong place. What is the wrong address? The wrong place. The wrong address of ego. Ego means selfishness and self-centeredness. There is no beneficial ego. Ego means self-centered. That's all. Anything beneficial belongs to, anything beneficial comes from the divine. Nityam yajne pradishtitam. That's what he has established. See now follow the sequence again. Beings are happy. When food is in abundance, beings are happy. Happy means happy life. When people are leading a happy life means someone is there working for. Are you able to follow? If people are leading a happy life, it means someone is working for. If someone is sitting and working for their well-being. Beings are happy because food is available. And the food what? In a very high quality food, not ordinary. Ordinary food, I don't know, whatever the high quality food is, it is. And where does that food come from? The food comes from the rain. How does rain come from? Where does rain come from? Rain comes because of yajna. And what is yajna? Action. And who's the creator of that action? The starter of that action? Brahma. And where does Brahma come from? Imperishable. For Brahma is powerless minus the imperishable. Brahma is powerless minus the imperishable. Therefore, down the line, who's giving vitality? Who's giving power to everything? The imperishable. Therefore, the all-pervading Brahman rests in Yajna. Suddenly he connects Brahma with Brahman, not Brahma. Suddenly he connects the imperishable with Yajna. What is the connection? That's what I explained. Wherever there is a right attitude, there is an atmosphere of inspiration. In that atmosphere of inspiration, some wonderful things happen. And no one can take credit for that because it's all done by imperishable. Therefore, the all-pervading Brahman ever rests in yajna, sacrifice. He uses the agricultural metaphor to explain about the most valuable technique for action. What is the most valuable technique for action? I said it in the beginning when we started discussing the action. Said action has two components. One is the technique and another is the attitude. One is the technique of an action. Another is the attitude behind the action. Technique is what you gather from the world. Technique is what you learn from others. Attitude is what? Attitude is what you bring in. Attitude is what you bring in. And what is the right technique for action? Whenever Bhagavad Gita talks about the right technique, they talk about the right attitude. Because the person with the right attitude can quickly develop the technique. The converse is not true. The person with the right technique need not necessarily have the right attitude. You follow? Again I repeat. The person with the right attitude can develop the technique faster, can develop the technique, can learn the technique quicker. Converse is not true. What is the converse? The person with the right technique need not have the right attitude. For the attitude is something, it's a totally different exercise altogether. What is the right technique? Sacrifice. And rain is the right mental attitude because it's conducive. Okay, understand it like that, it becomes very simple. All the festivities starts with the rainy season, and all the festivities ends with the benefits of the rain. That's why it's 6 months, 7 months. All the festivities starts when? In which month it starts? September. Because in this part of the world, the rains start in June. The rain starts in June. So 2 months. Rains have come. The yield is more. People are having funds. Correct. People are having funds so that they can start having festivity. And all festivity ends when the summer sets in, when all the benefits of the rain is gone, all the festivities also comes to an end. No? You know that? I remember this because when I was a child, one of the aunt in the family used to say, "Ayyo, Adi Masam Vandurtha," she will say. Say, why? Because from next month, all the festivities will start. Every 2 weeks, one after other is going to come. And, you say, Eppadam Shivaratri Varumo, she will say. Because it ends. Correct? You know that, no? It starts here and ends. That period of 6 months. Bounty is always associated with rain. In those days. That's why I said it's agricultural society where everything revolved around that. Today we are a different society, and we need to make the same concept of yajna understandable in relation to this society. But nevertheless, principle remains the same. You follow? The principle remains the same. What is it? Therefore, Nityam Yajne Pratishtitam. Nityam Yajne Pratishtitam. Exuberance of life, he says. Life is exuberant. When rains are in abundance. When rains are in abundance, even today, no? Share market prices are decided by, unless I don't know what all they decide. How they decide? God only decides. Global things are favorable today, market races. How can in one day global conditions become unfavorable? The whole market crashes the next day. Because reason, global conditions are not. Food means that which gives sustenance. Food means that which gives sustenance. That which keeps you alive. That which keeps you exuberant is food. That's where people, reminder stickers are stuck on the house. There are reminder stickers. Where do they stick it? Where do they stick the reminder one? Reminder stickers are stuck where? Refrigerator, correct. Why? That's the only place you often visit maximum. For you can never miss it. Puja room, you will see once a week maybe. So you put a sticker there, reminder sticker there. It will not work. Books don't exist anyway. Even if it is there now, it is only for others. So where do you put the reminder sticker? That's why they put the reminder sticker in the refrigerator. Exuberance. Food implies not that people are glutton, please. That's not what he is saying. Exuberance happens because of food. The exuberance happens because of food. So even if you visit God and come out, you have to be given a. If they say God has blessed you and go home, no satisfaction. God has blessed you and given you. Yeah. At least when Thaisa, you should have given. There is food implies exuberance even today. As long as human beings are alive, food will give exuberance. Not that people are glutton, not that people are chasing food. That is natural. That's what exuberance comes from. That's where he uses this agricultural metaphor. It is very, very interesting psychological example also this is in relation to the food. It's not just the food. It is something much, much deeper also, because exuberance comes from food. Variety. Food means variety. Even in a classroom, if 10 different stories are said, so much of variety, so much of food, you will go back.
Cherishing.
More satisfied because of exuberance. You understand? Food. Same thing, which you know already, You all go through the 3 states of consciousness, waking, dream, deep sleep. Now 20 minutes you can switch off. Because you know what he is going to say for the rest. Even though that is the truth, it doesn't give any exuberance. Where does exuberance comes from? The food, the variety. Therefore, all this comes from the right. All this comes from the right attitude. Right attitude means it is divine, and anything right, anything higher belongs to the divine. The ego cannot. The ego can't take any credit for. The ego can't take any credit for sacrifice. If ego is taking any credit for sacrifice, it's no more. It's no more sacrifice. It's no more yajna. Therefore, that person doesn't reap the benefit of. That person doesn't reap the benefit of yajna. Nityam yajna pratishtitam. He uses this agricultural metaphor. Yeah. 16.
एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रं नानुवर्तयति गयः अघायुरिन्द्रिया रामः मोघं पार्थ स जीवति एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रं नानुवर्तयति गयः अघायुरिन्द्रिया रामः मोघं पार्थ स जीवति.
He who does not follow here, the wheel thus set in motion, living in sin and rejoicing in the senses, he lives in vain, O Partha. He who does not follow here means now, in the present, in this karma bhumi, if you do not follow this wheel, living in sin. Living in sin means living in mental agitations and rejoicing in the senses. When you are mentally agitated, you have to turn sensual. There is no other way. A disciplined person will not turn sensual. If a person is turning sensual means there is a disturbance. There is a mental agitation. Living in sin and rejoicing in the senses. He lives in vain. He lives in vain, O Partha. Vain means mogam. He lives in vain, lives in delusion. He is living in vain. He is living in delusion. Chakra, the wheel. It's a wonderful example. It's a wonderful thing. They always talk about the chakra, the wheel. Chakra means the circle, the continuous motion. Chakra means cycle. Wheel means cycle. Cycle means comes again and again and repetition. The same thing comes again and again and again. That's where the Oriental calendar is distinctly and different from the Greek calendar. The Oriental calendar that we follow here, we follow 2 calendars. Clear? The system follows 1 calendar. All the rituals, festivals follow another calendar, the Oriental calendar. And if you look at the Oriental calendar is always cyclical by nature. Cyclical by nature means, okay, 2017 has come and gone forever. 2017 will not come back again. Look at the calendar here. The same thing keeps. It starts with January, February, March. We know, no? Oriental calendar, we do not know what it starts with. What it starts with Prabhava, Vibhava. It starts. I'm not repeating that. Prabhava, it starts. And then it comes back. 65th year. It starts with Prabhava again. Cyclical it is. Why it is cyclical? Because it's not that the calendar is cyclical. They observed the nature that is cyclical. They observed the nature that is a wheel, and they brought this into life. Not that they brought this into life. This is what life is. First thing. What is it? It's a chakra. It's a wheel. Not a stationary wheel. Yeah. Puncture nikra wheel illa. Not the stationary wheel. It's the wheel that is constantly in motion. What is moga here? What is vain here? Anything that is continuously changing, anything that is constantly in motion, if you understand this, if you understand that, he says, you will not live a vainful life. Not understanding this cycle, not understanding this wheel, what it does philosophically, when you don't understand the cycle, when you do not understand the change, what happens in you? What develops in you? Hopes develop. And that hopes necessarily will get devastated, and that leads to agitation. Don't miss the steps. If you miss the steps, you will not know how the process is. If you understand it as a change, if you understand it as a wheel, what you will not have? Hopes. Of vain hopes, he says, no? Why the hope is vain? Because you are hoping for what? The chakra that can never get punctured and become stationary. You want it to become stationary. The chakra, wheel. You follow? All hopes and all expectations are fundamentally flawed. Because of what? The changing should not happen. The changing should not happen. Or it should happen in the way that I dictate. I want. I prefer. I like. You can use any word. But nevertheless, chakra. Wonderful is this chakra. Even when which serial it starts with the chakra? The television serial, no? Old. Mahabharata starts with that chakra, no? It's a time talks, as it were. Correct? Yes. Chakra means the time talks as it were. Vain means moga, delusion. What is a delusion? The delusion is hoping the impermanent to become permanent. Hoping that which is inherently unreliable to become reliable. Okay. Anything that is changing, will you rely upon? Reliability comes from what? You see one man saying something in the morning, another thing in the afternoon, in the night he says something else. Will you rely upon that person? Reliability comes from? Reliability comes from consistency, unchanging. In life, it is not possible at all. Therefore, the wise one will not rely upon anything in life. He is not living in vain. A person who is living in vain, he is describing. Who's living in vain? A person lives in vain because he has this hope. What is the root of the hope? What is the source of the hope? The source is somehow the impermanent can be made, at least temporarily. At least as long as I live. At least as long as human makes attempts. And all these are bound to fail, and failure will be agitating. You can never be rejoicing in failure. No. That's where he says a human being is destined to be agitated. Almost like he is destined to be agitated. Because of what? He lives in vain. What is the moha, the delusion? Instead of going along with the chakra, to go along with the chakra is what we call as adaptability. To go along with the chakra is what is known as flexibility. Opposite of that is stuck to something. You follow? Even when we say flexibility, what does flexibility means? What does adaptability means? Things are changing and you are stuck somewhere in the past. Yeah. Generation gap. What is the generation gap? Everyone is moving. I am stuck somewhere in the past, still saying, past is always. You ask any man, that's how you know. You ask any person, even if you are told to by heart this answer and repeat the answer, you cannot do that. You always ask any human being, what is the best part of your life? Even though you are told, say the present, now. You can't say that. You will say? Childhood, sir. When you are a child, you are not really happy, yeah? You know that? When you are a child, you desperately wanted to grow up. After growing up, you realize it's not no use having grown up. Let's go back to childhood. Now in this body, you can't go back to childhood, so you necessarily have to take up. You know that? No. That's how you demand another body. That's how you create another body, because you want to. When you are a child, you are not happy being a child. Why? Everyone controls you from outside. Yeah. Poor fellow. What is his Shravan. Shravan. 7:30 length he is controlled. Father is sitting next to him and controlling him. I am seeing from here. He is getting up. He wants to run away. No, he is running behind and dragging him inside. His childhood happy. Even to buy one ice cream, what manipulation you have to do? You have to convince the father, you have to convince the mother, you have to do so many things. And then all children think adults are free. Adults are all happy. Why? Because anytime they can go and buy one ice cream. Anytime they want to watch a movie, they can watch. And now you grow into that adult. And then if you are asked, what is the best period of your life? You will say? Childhood. If childhood is the best period of your life, you should never allow your children to grow. Because you want them to grow, why? Because you also want them to suffer. Huh? Chakra. We don't go with the wheel. We don't go with the wheel. Understand it like this. Wisdom is always fresh because it is always of the present. Divine is always fresh because it is of the present. The adaptability, the movement, going along with the change. Opposite of that is what? A vain life. Life of vain. Moga. Moga comes from where? Delusion. Delusion comes from where? The hope. What is the hope? That which is inherently, fundamentally, by nature changes. The hope is that person lives in agitation. Living in sin, rejoicing in the senses. Mentally living in sin. Intellectually, moga, delusion, means no. Meaning, intellectually, moga means no. Shankar. Intellectually, moga means no intellect. At the level of the intellect, there is nothing there. At the level of the mind, fully agitated. What is the only recourse left for this man, for this human being?
Intelligence.
Rejoicing in the senses. He has to turn sensual. He has to turn indulgent. Not following what? He is not following. What is he not following?
The wheel.
He is not following. He is not following the wheel. He is not following the wheel. Instead of following the wheel, he is putting spokes in the wheel. Spokes in the wheel, na? Have you seen those? The temples have those car festivals. The temples have those car festivals, and 3 fellows will be there to control it. They go on. They keep every 10 meters. They come and stop it. It goes over that and continues to speed breaker. Roadly the speed breaker. So they keep doing that. What is that? The wheel is set in motion. You have to come and break it. With what you break? You break it with the hope. And what is the hope? Vain. That is moga. That is delusion at the level of the intellect. What is it? That which is by nature changes. That which by nature can't be permanent. That's where you find even the ethics and morals keeps changing for every generation. It can't be permanent. It keeps changing, and it necessarily has to change. If it is not changing, it's coma. Living life of it has to change. Some changes are acceptable, some changes are not acceptable. Some are pleasant, some are unpleasant. This acceptable and not acceptable, pleasant and unpleasant belongs to what? It doesn't belong to the change. It belongs to the ego that is interpreting the change. Change is what occurs. The pleasant and unpleasant, the right and wrong, the good and bad belongs to the ego that is interpreting the change. wise one here, he says, he's not talking about the wise one, he's talking about the ignorant one who does not follow the wheel thus set in motion, living in sane, rejoicing in the senses. He lives in vain. Life that can be lived with service and sacrifice and attain the highest, that man loses it for something. Loses it. So for what you lose doesn't matter, but it is lost. That loss is what he calls as in vain. They live, Arjuna, but that life is waste. Mogam partha sajivati. They are living. I am also living, Krishna is saying, I am also living, you are also living, everyone else is living, and there is a difference. What is the difference? One man lives with wisdom, another man lives in vain, lives in delusion. And the nature of delusory life is what? No intellect, agitated at the level of the mind. The only recourse left is, the only thing that the human being can do is what? Rejoicing in the senses. He turns sensual. Because of what? Not following the wheel that's set in motion. What is the wheel that is set in motion? You do sacrificial actions, you will evolve. If you don't do sacrificial actions, you will devolve. The wheel is set in motion. Already it's going on. Whoever follows that, evolve. Whoever does not follow that, whoever do not follow that, they devolve. Such a life is a vainful life, a waste. It's a wasted life. What we call as wasted talent, no? There are people who comes up with some talents and then they get into some indulgence and they lose it. You will say wasted talent, and you will feel like punishing them more than the fellow who doesn't have any talent at all, versus a person who has the talent and is wasting it. Krishna is telling us in that aspect. Lives in vain, Arjuna. சரியா?